Hi everyone, this is our live class makeup for learning about our writing summative. So our goal for today is I can understand how I will be graded on the writing summative. So today we're going to start with a greeting, we'll learn about the writing summative project, and then you will have an assignment where you will grade Mrs. Sobe's example, my example of my writing. So our greeting for today is, what is an essay? What is an essay? What do you know? What do you think? If you have an answer to this question, please send me an email so that I know you watched the video. An essay is a multi-paragraph piece of writing, and that's what you will be creating with our summative writing project. So for our summative writing, you might be asking yourself, what are you writing about and what do you need to do? Well, we kind of have two different parts of how I want you to look at this. Part one is you'll be writing 3 paragraphs. And in those 3 paragraphs is number 2, and that is when you'll be using all the information that you've learned about this quarter, like immigration vocab, adjectives, verbs, how to write a paragraph, how to write complete sentences, all that information, and that needs to be included in your writing. I want you to show me everything that you've learned this quarter. So, what are you going to be writing about? So, paragraph 1, you'll write about your identity. We have written about ourselves and our identities many times in this class, so hopefully this will be a paragraph that's easy for you to write about. Paragraph 2 is you'll write about a story from your life. So you can pick any story that's school appropriate and you'll just kind of tell me about it. Paragraph 3 is you will be writing about your goals for the future. What do you want to do in your future? What do you hope your future looks like? So let's look at how you will be graded. So this assignment is worth 4 points, like all of our assignments are. Every assignment we do is always worth 4 points, but this is a summative. Remember, summatives are worth 80% of your grade. So in this class, we'll be working on this writing summative to the end of the quarter. So we will have 3 summatives by the time we are done. We will have our 2 tests that we've had in Schoology, and then this writing piece, this essay. So there's I want you guys to think about our writing rules and what we've been learning about for writing. So one of the points that you're going to get in this from this essay is following the writing rules. So we have 4 points. One of them comes from writing rules. So that means what I'm talking about is, did you write in capital letters for the start of your sentences? Did you follow paragraph form, which means start with a topic sentence, middle is detail sentences, and end your paragraph with its conclusion sentence? Do your paragraphs follow that form? Do your sentences have periods at the end or an exclamation mark, maybe a question mark? Did you write incomplete sentences? Did you indent each paragraph? Are there 5 to 7 sentences for each paragraph? These are the writing rules. You get 1 point for following all of these. Maybe you missed a couple of these, so maybe you'd get a 0.75 out of 1 for this category. Okay. You also get a point for paragraph 1. So you get 1 point for writing rules. You get 1 point for this first paragraph. So you get 1 point for meeting all the requirements of this paragraph. Remember, paragraph 1 is all about your identity. Remember, your identity is who you are. So paragraph 1 needs to include, it needs to be about you and who you are. We've done, like I've said before, we've written about our identities many times in this class. So hopefully it's something easy that you can think back and look at those other examples that we've looked at. You need to include 3 adjectives to describe yourself. So this is something you already should have practiced at by doing the myself and adjectives assignment. So if you need some reminders, you can look back at that. And you also need to use one of the vocab words in a sentence. Those vocab words that you need to choose from are migration, immigration, immigrate, and immigrant. So you get 1 point for having a paragraph 1 that talks about you, that uses adjectives to describe yourself, has 3 of them, and it has one of these vocab words. That would be 1 point. You get another point for paragraph 2. So you will get 1 point for meeting the requirements of paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 needs to be about a story from your life, and make sure your story is school appropriate. So paragraph 2 needs to include, it needs to tell me a story about your life and it needs to make sense. I need to kind of be able to picture that story in my mind. It needs to have 2 adjectives in your paragraph. And the verbs, when you're talking about your story, need to be in the past tense. Okay? Because when we're talking about a story that's already happened, those verbs are in the past tense. So that's your third point. 1 point for writing rules, 1 point for paragraph 1, 1 point for paragraph 2, sorry. And now let's look at paragraph 3. So paragraph 3, you get 1 point for meeting the requirements for paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 is all about your goals for the future and what you want to do in the future. So paragraph 3 needs to include, I want you to write about what you want for your future. What are your goals and what do you want to do? Answer these questions in 5 to 7 sentences, and that will get you a full point for paragraph 3. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of what our writing summative will look like. We'll be working on this project, on this essay, until the end of the quarter. So we have about 2 weeks that we're going to be working on this project. We'll work a little bit on it every day. So make sure you're coming to live class so we can work on this together and do the best that we can do. Okay, so today we're going to do an assignment where you are going to grade my example. I wrote a essay for the for our summative writing project, and you're going to be grading my work, what I wrote. So why are we doing this? So you're going to read an example of Mrs. Sovey's writing summative that I wrote. Right, you're going to read my example, and we are doing this because one, you get to see an example of what you need to do for your writing, kind of what it looks like and what you need to do. And two, you get to grade Mrs. Sovey's writing just like I will be grading your writing. Okay? You're going to you're going to check off, make sure I did everything I needed to do, just like I will do that when you turn in your final writing. And this will help you see how you'll be graded. Okay, so there's kind of 2 reasons why we're doing this assignment, and I think it's important to understand and see that these are the reasons why we're doing this. So here's what you're going to be doing: step 1 is to read my example. Step 2 is to put the worksheet into Notability that you'll be writing on and grading the writing on. Step 3 is to answer yes or no to each of the questions based off Mrs. Sovey's writing, and I'll kind of show you what that means in a second. Step 4 is to count how many yeses there are for each section. And then step 5 is to answer the questions at the very end of the worksheet using complete sentences. Okay, so let's go ahead and do step 1 together. We're going to read my example. So at the top here is the title, says Mrs. Sovey's example of the writing summative. So let's take a look at this. There are many parts of my identity. Some adjectives to describe me are funny, hardworking, kind, and smart. I'm a teacher. That's a big part of who I am. My family immigrated to the United States many years ago. My family and friends are very important to me. Those are some of the parts of my identity. Here's a story from my past. I met my husband, Tyler, in college. We both went to the University of Northwestern in St. Paul, Minnesota. Tyler and I met on the first day of moving into the dorms. We were friends for a year and hung out with our other friends many times. In our second year of college, we took a class together. During that class, we talked more and would walk together after class. After class one day, Tyler asked me on a date. We got married almost 3 years later. My goal for the future is to continue to grow. I want to grow to be a better person, teacher, and family member. In the future, I want to get a master's degree. Travel is very important to me, so I want to travel more. I want to visit all 50 states and many other countries. I want to make the world a better place by educating students and helping my community. I cannot wait to see what the future holds. So this is my example. This is my essay that I wrote to follow the rules of what the writing summative will look like. So now let's work on the other steps of the project. So let's take a look at the worksheet. So this is what your worksheet today looks like. At the top, we have some directions. It says this is our writing check or our grading checklist for the writing summative. This is how you will be graded on the summative. Directions. Read Mrs. Sovey's example. We already did that. And after you read it, grade her essay using this checklist. Write a yes or no next to each question based off the writing. Once you are done, answer the questions at the bottom. Make sure you turn this in when you are done. Okay, so remember we get 1 point for writing rules. So writing rules are worth 1 point. So we have we have 6 questions to answer here about the writing rules. Okay, so look at each question and then write yes or no on the line, depending if I did that in my writing or not. So, for example, is the first letter of each sentence capitalized? Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm looking at the writing and I see that all the letters are capitalized. So I would write yes here on the line. Okay, so that's what you're going to do with each of these questions. Here, you're going to write your answer either yes or no on the line. And then at the end of the category, you're going to fill in this blank. It says this category got blank number of yeses out of 6 total questions. So count up how many yeses you have here and write that number on the line. Maybe there's 4 yeses, maybe there's 5, 6, 3, whatever number you get, write it on the line. Okay? And looking at how many total yeses there are will kind of decide if I should get maybe a full point, maybe a half point for this category. So remember, this category is all worth 1 point. Okay? And then you have the same thing that you're going to do with paragraph 1. Paragraph 1 is worth 1 point. So look at the first paragraph and answer these questions, okay? And then write either yes or no on the line, and then count up how many yeses are in the section. Okay? You're going to do the same thing with paragraph 2 and with paragraph 3. And then here at the bottom, you have some questions to answer, okay? So answer the questions below using complete sentences. Number 1, what section did Miss Sovey do the best at? So did she do the best at following the writing rules, writing paragraph 1, writing paragraph 2, or writing paragraph 3? And why? Tell me what you think. Which section does she need to do better at? Right? Does she need to make any changes? What changes does she need to do? Okay. Number 3, what score would you give Mrs. Sovey and why? Remember, the most she can get is a 4. So what score would you give me on this writing summative based on how I did on these questions? Did you get a lot of yeses? Were there a lot of nos? Defend the score, right? Pretend like you're me and I'm reading your writing. How would you grade it? Okay? And so that's what your job is to do today. So move this worksheet into Notability, answer the questions, all the questions, and then turn it in. Okay? So make sure you follow the steps and get this turned in when you are done. I hope to see you in live class tomorrow. We will have live class every day this week as we work on our writing summative. I hope to see you then.